Hello everyone, and welcome to another Mondays with Michelle video. This week we will explore the West Yorkshire Archives Service website. We'll discuss the collections catalogue, research guides, and some of the treasures held by each of the 5 archive offices. We'll also take a close look at their online Tithe Maps, the West Riding online Parish Map, and the Lythams photograph collection. Let's get started. As I mentioned, we're going to look today at the West Yorkshire Archive Service, and it's actually a website that covers the holdings of 5 different offices. On their main page here, it lists the offices: Bradford, Calderdale, Kirklees, Leeds, and Wakefield. So once you're on their homepage, navigation is a little bit different than some of the other websites. We don't really have the archive-specific menus at the top. Their homepage, if you scroll down, has these images with links on the right-hand side. And that's your best bet for actually getting into the details of the archive site. If you want to go directly to search their online catalog, there is a tiny link here, and there is a much bigger version of the link at the bottom of this first page. So what we're going to do to start with, we're going to look at the details of their collection. So I click on that collection link. And what I'm brought into is the collection page, which gives some basic information about their holdings. Again, there's a direct link here to search the catalog. You'll notice on the left-hand side of the screen, they have basically a table of contents structure, and that is the main navigation tool for the website. So what you will see, because we are in the Our Collections page, and it gives you the page number or the page name up top here, it's opened up a second mini table of contents with the details of this particular section of the website. So think of these other entries that are not indented, like events, our collections, contact us, research service. Those are kind of like the idea of chapters in a book. They're your main heading levels. When you click on one of those items, if there are subtopics, you will then see this additional layer of clickable links, an additional table of contents. So you can click on any one of these main topics to move to different areas of the website. So let's take a look at the collections information. And what we're going to look at first is the collection guides. So if I click on collection guides, I see a fairly lengthy list, and we've got guides on various topics. We have some items called user guides, which give you information on how to use, in this case, ancestry, deeds, family records, house history records. So there is some user information here. If we look at one of the collection guides, for example, the guide on parish registers. Let me just show you. Let's scroll up to the top here. What I like about their guides, it gives you some background information about that record type. It will give you, in this case, some historical context, key dates. And if you continue to scroll down, you will get to the section that actually lists the holdings in the archive. So it will say the particular parish. It gives you the years that they've got the records for. And it will also say, and this is really important, which archive has these physical records. Because again, this website covers the holdings of 5 different archive offices. So it's really important to know which office actually holds these registers. So as you can see, if we go back to the list of guides, and let me just go back here, we have quite a few. We have bishops' transcripts, we have nonconformist records, Roman Catholic registers, tithe, First World War records. So there is quite a selection to look at, and I'd encourage you to take a look at any that interest you just to get an idea of what they have. Now, let's take a look at the actual catalog. So if I click on search our catalog, we're brought to this search our catalog page, which gives you some general information on how you can search. And we can go right to the online catalog page by clicking this big link, click here to view our online catalog. And that's what we'll do now. And we come to what by now should be a very familiar screen to most of you, because it is the same basic search screen used by the East Riding Archives I showed you last week, and NICRO that I showed you the week before. So similarly, we have these links on the left that will give you some help information on searching the database. If we were to click on those links, we could get more details on how to do some advanced searches. So just like with the other websites, we can type in a search term and click Quick Catalog Search. I did a search on my Renton ancestors. So on that main search screen, I had typed in Renton and pressed Quick Catalog Search, and these are the results. And the default when you search is it will show 5 items, but I had changed that to show all the items so I could see everything that was available. And again, you can sort by date by just clicking the date column. And to see the details of a record, so I'm going to scroll down and look at this particular entry. Which one? This one here, a building plan. If I click on this record finding number, so this is showing the detailed description. I think this is a document I'll probably have to order a copy of. It says this is showing the plans for 10 through houses in Bruce Street, New Wortley for Mr. John Renton. So these are some of the houses that my ancestor owned that were mentioned in his will. Okay, now the problem is to get back to the main part of the website. There isn't really an easy way other than to click on this useful links on the left this entry here, it brings you to this page of links. And this is the same situation as we had with the East Riding archives. If you click on this first link, the West Yorkshire Archives Service website, you are back to basically the home page of the archives section. And then you can go into their catalog again by clicking on collections. So you're back at the table of contents. So just remember, when you end up going into the catalog, that's your quickest way out of the catalog back to the main part of the website, is clicking on that useful links section. Let's now take a look at this Our Collections Online. So if I click that page, we come to a description of all kinds of other online offerings available. Some of these are promoted by the West Yorkshire Archive Services and managed by them. Others are websites that they think may be of interest because those websites have information on the West Riding. So for instance, they have a link to Ancestry. There's a link to the National Archives Discovery website. But a lot of the links on here are for projects that the West Yorkshire Archives have set up. And those are the links that I'm going to show you. So the first one I'd like us to look at is this Archives Treasure. So if we were to click this Archives Treasure link, we are actually in a different website, still one that's managed by the West Yorkshire Archives, but it's got a completely different name up top here. The URL is completely different. And this particular page has links to each of the different archive offices. And if you hover over the archive site, you will see different collections listed. So for instance, if I was to just click the Bradford page, it will show me all of those items that we saw listed. And if I click on, for instance, the Brown Muffin Company Limited item, it brings me to a detailed page about that particular holding in their archive. Similarly, if we go to Wakefield and click on the Convicts Reception Register, it provides information about that particular collection in their catalog. There's also this Themes button. And if we click on, for example, trade unions, if we click on this link, it brings up a PDF file that is showing the trade union holdings in the collections for each of the archives. So you can see this particular record reference number, LX111, is about the Amalgamated Society of Tanners, Lace Cutters, and Belt Makers. So again, it's another way of looking at some of the holdings that are in these particular archives. Now, if we go back to this collections online, we've looked at the archives treasures. Let's take a look now at the Lythams website. And if we click this Lythams link, you'll go to a page that looks like this. And again, this is a completely separate website, www.leotis.net. It is a photographic archive of leads, and they have a number of collections. So there is one that says potluck. It's a selection of randomly chosen images. There is a Jubilee collection, and they've also got some other links at the bottom. What you can do, you can actually type in a search term and search for images that match, because by the way, they have 67,894 images. So what I did was I searched on my Renton ancestors. So I typed in Renton, and I'll just show you the results. There are 36 results that showed up when I searched on Renton. And I'll just scroll down and show you. So this particular picture, Malcolm Street, if I click on this image, what it's showing, and I'll just enlarge it a bit. If we look at the description, it says right here, between numbers 22 and 20 is a date stone with the year in Roman numerals, which is unclear, and the name John Renton. I am going to have to arrange to get a better copy of that date stone, because this is my ancestor. These were houses that he owned. So I would dearly love to get a close-up image of this little date stone with the information on it. So that's the Leotis website. And again, you can search on streets, you could put in a surname, you could put in any term you want. If you know the name of one of your ancestors' businesses, you could put it in and see if they've got pictures showing that particular place. Now, if we go back to that table of contents, and we've looked at Leotis, we looked at archive treasures. Let's see what this catalog site is. And it is basically the West Yorkshire Archive Services blog. So to find out what projects they're working on, any news that they want to make you aware of, this will all be on the blog page. And you can see they have various items listed. They've got some an announcement here, an article about the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II. They've done some special curated images because of the Jubilee. They've got some information on the coronation in 1953. So again, you can take a look at the blog to find out what else is going on. If we go back, we've done the catalog. This next item, the Parish Maps, is quite interesting. So if we click on Parish Map, we're going to end up with a screen that looks like this. So this Parish Maps tool is using modern Google Maps and showing the location of all West Riding parishes. So the first thing you're going to want to do is click this Open in My Maps link. And let me just turn my spotlight back on. On the left-hand side, this Open in My Maps. So I'm going to click that. And I now see where this check mark and Parish New Google .xls, there's this little down arrow. This parish new Google, this is the list of all of the West Riding parishes. So if I want to see where a particular parish is or information about that parish, I could just click here and it will show the details of that parish. Now, the trouble is with so many of these little dots on the map, especially if you are not from the West Riding and are not familiar with the area, it's pretty hard to pick out which of these dots is the one that I just clicked on. So what you can also do is say, I don't want to show all of those parishes. So all I do is uncheck that box. If I check it, all the dots show up. If I uncheck it, it hides them. And instead, I can go up here to this magnifying glass and I can type in Adel and it shows me the name. And yes, this is the one I want, Adel St. John. If I click on that, now it's much easier to see where it is. And it zooms in on the map and shows me where the parish church is and gives me the details about the parish. So that can be a really nice tool for being able to see where some of these parishes are in comparison to where your ancestors were living. So that's the Parish Map facility. So we've talked about the Parish Map. We've talked about, whoops, let me go up a bit. We've talked about Leotis. We've talked about archive treasures. The entry I'd like us to look at now is the West Yorkshire Tithe Maps. So let's take a look at that. And again, this is a separate website. Now, Tithe Maps are available at the National Archives and at a lot of the local archive offices. The only ones other than this website here, for the West Riding anyway, the only ones that are available online as far as a global online project are through the genealogist website, but it's a paid website. The nice thing about what I'm showing you right here, this special project done by the West Yorkshire Archive Office is free. And what they have done is they have digitized the Bradford and the Leeds maps that are in their holdings. So to navigate this website, you have these menus at the top of the screen. So for instance, if we click the About menu, it gives you information about the project, about the maps that they have digitized. There are frequently asked questions, which will give you information about what the tithes were, what the tithe map is, what they mean by the tithe apportionment, why they're useful, and where you can find the tithe records. So there's some basic information there. If you click on either the Bradford or the Leeds Maps menu items, you come to a screen that looks like this. It's showing you all of the maps that they have. And in my case, what I did was I looked at, let me scroll down. I wanted to look, of course, to see where some of my Renton ancestors were, and they lived in Wortley. So I clicked on View Map, or you can just click the image, and it brought me to this page here, which is the map page for Wortley. And if we scroll down, what you will see is two map images. On the left, you have the Tithe map. On the right, you have a modern Google map, which is zoomed to roughly the same area that your Tithe map is covering. And there's a button here that says you can download data as an Excel spreadsheet. And if you click on that button, you will end up seeing on your screen in a new tab an Excel spreadsheet. And basically what you can do by clicking in, let me just close it down, by clicking in this search box, you can type in a surname. Now, I happen to know that in the 1840s, which was roughly the time frame when these tithe maps were done, my ancestor John Renton was living with his stepfather, Joshua Sowry. So I searched for Sowry. So I type in the surname and find in document. I'm going to find next. And it's showing me, in this case, says executors of Francis Sowry. And this one says the premises were in Garth. It was formerly the Sowrys. Here is Jeremiah Sowry. The first name is in the next column. There's Jeremiah. There's another Jeremiah. And here is Joshua Sowry, the ancestor I'm looking for. So if I scroll to the left, this is the row of information. And this plot number, this column right here, column D, plot number 54 is the number that will appear on the map of the property that Joshua Sowry is occupying. So the sequence of events that you would do is you would open up this spreadsheet, you would search for your ancestor's surname, zoom over to column D to see what that plot number is. Now that I know the plot number is plot 54, I go back to the map, and if I now go into this map, I'm going to have to enlarge it a whole lot. Okay. 54 is right here. That's where my ancestor was. And if I look at the road structure, it's Upper Wortley. And if I went further along this road, it's Wingate. Now, I enlarged a modern map just to show you where this is. Here is Wingate Road, and you have this triangular structure. This is Upper Wortley Road. My ancestor's property would be right in this area here. So that's how you would use the tithe maps. So we've looked at the online collections to see what they had with all of the tithe map information. Let's take a quick look to see what is in some of the specific archives. For instance, if we look at Bradford collections, it will give us some information on the holdings of the Bradford archives. The Wakefield collection, same thing. And some of the items of interest, for instance, they have records for various hospitals. They've got records for the National Coal Board, they have the prison records. So if you click on HMP Wakefield, it will bring you to the description in the card catalog that gives you the details of what they have for prison records. The records are from 1801 to 1991. So I would say, based on this description, there is an awful lot of information available for you to search through. If we come back to our main table of contents here, we were looking at our collections section. If you are planning a visit to the archives, you can click on the Contact Us link and click on a particular archive, and it will give you their address information, their contact information, details on booking appointments, etc. So you'll want to make sure you take a look at that if you are planning to visit the archives. And I can get back to the main table of contents by clicking up here where it says Contact Us and Opening Times. And now I'm back at the main table of contents layer. I wanted to show you what's underneath this Learning tab. So one of the items that I found interesting was this Schools Learning tab. And even though these resources are aimed at school children, I found it quite interesting to see what was available. So if you go right down to the bottom to this online learning resource, they have resource packets on the Pontefract Workhouse, the Wakefield Workhouse, Industrial Wakefield, and World War I Homefront and World War II. So to give you an idea of what these learning packets look like, I opened up the one for the Pontefract Workhouse. And again, it is set up as a school resource that you would give to students or that teachers would use as a lesson plan. But I was impressed with the type of information they have. So if we scroll through, this is very much the teacher's lesson plan, but still they've got maps and diagrams. They've got newspaper cuttings. So they have curated a collection of information about this workhouse. So I think there is still validity in looking at some of these resources designed for the schools. The last page I just wanted to show you, West Riding does have an extensive deeds registry, and there is a collection guide that talks about how to use the Register of Deeds and what information you need in order to actually find the deeds for your ancestors' property. So that is a link in the table of contents. I hope you enjoyed learning about the West Yorkshire Archives Service website. Don't forget to download the handout. You'll find the links in the video description at the bottom of your screen. Thanks for watching.